Game Plan You today, Mike Scharfenberg, interview with influencers. And as always, thank you for spending part of your Thursday with us. I hope you're all having a fantastic week, crushing it out there, building those genuine relationships, right? Like we talked about with David last week. Also, and then focusing on growing your personal brand, right? And going want to know every day. So hopefully it's been a really productive week. I know I've heard from a couple of you from the last show, and we jumped on a phone call, so that's been great. Keep that up. So before we bring in our very special guest, straight from the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, just a couple housekeeping items. The first one's a programming alert, and very exciting that my colleague and the executive director of Game Plan You Career Connect, Denise Zach, is beginning her own podcast show titled Mindset Mondays. So that'll take place 12:30 p.m. on Monday afternoons. So for those of you who don't know, Denise is a 20 plus years in higher ed, working for Southern Connecticut State University. She's also a certified life and mindset coach. So like the title says, the focus is on, mindset, staying positive, focusing in the moment. So she'll have, entrepreneurs and other sport professionals on just to cover any basis of their mindset. So that's a can't miss podcast. Again, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on Monday afternoons. So Mindset Mondays with Denise. The next one is the offer, as I hit on earlier. I've had a few career seekers and industry colleagues reach out and take me up on that offer for a virtual cup of coffee. So I want to reiterate that still stands. So the next few weeks I've blocked off time on the calendar to connect with anyone about anything. Talk shop about the industry, where it's going, career advice, anything. So again, my schedule is open, so feel free to reach out to me, Mike Scharfenberg, on LinkedIn. And then last but not least, again, just a reminder, we want to keep this as interactive as possible. Again, the show is for you, so please comment questions. We'll do our best to get those on the screen, and then also comment with your LinkedIn profile. If you're a career seeker or a student, what school you're at, what grade you're in, and just use that opportunity and use the comments section as a opportunity to network. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time and bring in our special guest. Again, he's hailing from Nashville, Tennessee. He spent about 6.5 seasons with the Tennessee Titans and has worked his way up all the way up the ladder from an inside sales associate all the way up to inside sales manager. So really show some perseverance there and climbing the corporate ladder. So without further ado, let's give a big virtual round of applause to Joey Meredith. Joey, tighten up and welcome. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Of course. Thank you for joining us. So before we dive into the core of this podcast and go over your journey and the advice you have for career seekers, I gotta ask though. So tell me a little bit about the pulse of the Music City, right? The Titans were 2-4, right? And they benched their franchise quarterback Marcus Mariota, and it was a dark time. You turned the ball over to Ryan Tannehill, and 7-3. Fast forward to the playoffs, you 7-3 finished the regular season, and you ended a dynasty. You slayed the MVP, and you were a couple big plays away from the Super Bowl. Tell me about the differences in the pulse of the city there.
Yeah, so when I started with the team in 2014, we went 2-14. Last year, 9-7, full playoff wins. Made it to the AFC Championship game. So the city's definitely excited. They were spoiled. Fans were spoiled when we first got to Nashville and went straight to the Super Bowl. But we definitely had her out there about 10 years, and we're back. And people are excited. Derrick Henry's a monster, and we're going to ride him to the playoffs again.
That's it. And a lot of credit to Coach Vrabel too. You want to talk about leadership. I mean, that man's a true leader. So speaking of King Henry, so let's dive into the first question here. So growing up, a lot of us want to be pro athletes, right? We want to be the next King Henry or Air McNair, and you get to a certain point in your life and you realize, okay, my athletic ability may not be there right now. So then you got to kind of shift your gear, and you still want to be in sports, right? And then for a lot of us, you discover the business side of sports. So what was it, or when did you figure out that the business side of sports is what you want to do, and what was it that made you really want to go to that side of the industry?
Yeah, so I would say it was my senior year of high school. And even till then, I probably had some unrealistic dream is, I wanted to be the general manager for the team. But I quickly found out that I wasn't gonna be able to play basketball at the next level. I'm 5'9". My jump shot is below average. If you ask my high school basketball coach, loved golf, but again, probably below average. So I wasn't good enough to go to the next level in any of those sports. But I needed a way to stay connected because sports it just brings me a lot of happiness in my life, and like most of probably the people watching this. So I needed to find a way to stay connected, and for me, that was being on the business side of things. I wasn't talented enough on the playing side, but I did feel like I could contribute on the business side of things.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think you figuring that out nowadays, early on in your, as a young professional, I think that's almost unheard of now. I think a lot of young professionals, they go to college and they still think like you, the GM, but they don't see the broader picture, right? There's only so many general manager jobs out there. So,
Yep.
So let's talk about how you got your foot in the door, because I think this is a really important point to reiterate that all of us have a different journey to where we are today. So, some were clear path and some were very rocky. Everything's different. You didn't just roll out of bed and land the role that you're in today. So speak a little bit to the how you got your foot in the door in the industry and how that led to where you are today.
Yeah, so this is kind of a long story, but I'll try and do my best to not put anybody to sleep. So when I graduated high school, I went to Tennessee Tech, small school in Cookeville, Tennessee, of about 12,000. The first 2 years, much like you guys, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I just did like basic business classes and stuff like that. And then the summer before my junior year of college, I decided to get, pretty serious about the future. So did my first internship with a minor league hockey team up in Boston. Came back to Tech, spent some time with the men's basketball team. Also did an internship with the marketing department in athletics. So did a couple internships. Graduation came. I still didn't know anybody, and so much about working in sports is who you know and who knows you. So I knew I needed to make my way to Nashville because there's several teams here, and ultimately the Titans is where I wanted to be anyway. So came to Nashville, pursued my master's degree at Belmont University in sport administration, and really that gave me 2 more years to gain more experience and meet people. So did a couple more internships. Did the Nashville Predators. I did Vanderbilt athletics. I did some marketing there. And then really the best thing that happened to me in grad school is we had an assignment our first semester where we had to go meet 20 business professionals in the sport industry that we didn't know previously. So it was a little scary, but I took that assignment really serious. And we didn't have a contact with the Titans, but I found on the website, at titans.nfl.com was the email format. So I started doing like the names in front of it, and the guy that was in charge of the ticket office sent him an email just asking if I could pick his brain. And he was too busy to meet, but he did forward it down to the sales manager, and the sales manager, he met with me. He took an hour out of his day, and I showed up with a suit on, and I had questions written down. I had some business cards that I went and got made at Staples with my Gmail email on them, and really, when I went there, like I just showed them that I was passionate, and I was asking question after question. And then once that ended, I touched base with them once a month, just checking in and seeing how things were going with the Titans. 6 months after that first meeting, a position came open, and he asked me to interview for it. And it was inside sales, and I had no idea what the heck that meant, but I was all in.
I love it. I think two points you said really stood out to me. I think the first one is the volunteering and just taking every opportunity that you have, regardless if it's paid, it's not paid. You got to sleep on a friend's couch. You got to figure it out. If you want it, you got to go get it. And even if it is unpaid, build those relationships. You could not like what you're doing, but you're going to get a lot of transferable skills. I guarantee it. And you're going to build a lot of relationships that if those are genuine, those people will help you find a job that you do love doing. So I think that was something I took away. And then also, when you said it was scary with that assignment to reach out to 20 industry executives, I just think that's so huge and a testament to where you are today. Just becoming comfortable being uncomfortable, especially in a sales role. That's something that is really important. And it's something that in any field you're in, if you're just staying where you're comfortable, you're never going to grow. So I love those 2 points. So speak about your role today. It's definitely an interesting time. Expect to manage an inside sales team with, during a global pandemic, but speak to that. Like, what does your day-to-day look like? What are your responsibilities and things of that nature?
Yeah, so things have also changed this year with the pandemic, but um, before the pandemic, what I was doing is, recruiting, training, coaching entry level sellers in the sport industry, and ultimately the goal is to get them a full time job, after their year with us, while generating revenue for the team throughout the year. So, I'm sitting with them. I'm, constantly in contact with them. They know they can reach out to me if they need me, and I'm trying to get them in touch with other people in the industry so that they can, learn from those people the same way I did. So really, that's kind of the day to day. Now with the pandemic, things got changed. So we were all working at home for 5 months, and it's super hard to motivate people and to stay in contact with people when you're miles and miles apart, right? So we tried to make it fun and do some games. We've been doing Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader every Thursday. We have one today. I'm going to win it. So stuff like that. We're trying to stay motivated. Ultimately, I want them to have fun, because if they're having fun, they're going to be motivated and they're going to work. So, I wish I could give you a good answer for what the day to day looks like, but because of the pandemic, every day is so different. Just got back in the office on Monday. Half the staff is in this week, half the staff will be in next week. So it's definitely an interesting time, and we're kind of adjusting on the fly.
That's what you have to do, especially in sales, right? You always got to be on your toes and ready to adjust and whatever curveballs are thrown at you. So I'm curious, kind of building off that point. I know often sales gets a bad rap, and sales professionals, right? They get a bad rap, and you're just trying to sell things, but that's not what we do. We're problem solvers, and we're going to help you. Whether it's getting you out for an incredible experience with your family, or helping you get, work with businesses to get ROI on that, right? So that's really what it's all about for us. So what is it specifically about sports sales and the ticket sales and service industry that drew you in and said, that's it, that's what I want to do?
Yeah. So going back to your thing about sales, I 100% agree. I don't think anybody in this world grows up saying they want to be a salesperson. At least I didn't, but it just kind of happened. The person I met with the Titans, that's what he happened to do. And for whatever reason, he thought it'd be a good fit in that. And, once that happened, I started liking it. I started enjoying it. If you're an athlete and you're competitive at all, like, sales is, something that you're probably going to enjoy, because there's a chase, there's a hunt to find your next deal constantly. You're competing with the people next to you, because who doesn't want to be top of the sales board? And not only that, but you're competing with reps around the league. I mean, you want to be the best of the best. And so if you're competitive, sales is definitely, a good way to go. That's what I would say on that. And, I think what scares people about sales are the cold calls. Totally get that. And for the first 3 months, you're going to be scared of those calls. After that, you're going to be fine, because you've heard, by then everything that you possibly could hear, as far as no's, don't call me again, whatever it is. And then at the end of the day, I mean, you're selling Tennessee Titans NFL football, right? Like, there's a lot of worse things could be calling about, like medical equipment or something like that. No offense to anybody that sells medical equipment, it's just not something I'm passionate about. And I feel like people, when they hear that you're from the Titans, are usually excited, or at least they perk up a little bit and want to hear more. So it's not that bad, promise.
No, it really isn't. And like you said, I think it just gets a bad rap at the end of the day. People think used car salesmen, and that's not what we are, and that's not what we do. And I think it's all about, like you said, it's going to be uncomfortable. We all went through it in the beginning, but as you start working, you become more comfortable. It's going to be natural. And I think at least for me, the best part that drew me in was that competitive nature too. I like to compare it as almost like if you're practicing with a sport team. You guys are going at it, you're fighting, you're trying to be the best, you're playing for minutes, but at the end of the day, the goal is to win the game, or in this case, it's to bring the most revenue in for the team collectively. So I love that. And I think too, just the relationships you build. I was with the Yankees for 4 months as a summer sales associate, and I still talk closely to one of my partners and clients that I sold to, because we developed that deep of a relationship. So that's what it's all about, is just building those relationships and helping them create those memorable experiences. So now I kind of want to shift back now to the core of this podcast, right? And that's the career seekers. So I think something that I hold really close to me, that really, I have 4 or 5 mentors, really close mentors, that help me climb the ladder and be in the position I am today, as I'm sure you do as well. So speak to mentorship and what you see as the value of having a mentor, especially in the sport industry.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be where I am without a mentor. And there's not one that I could just name off because it wouldn't be fair to the rest. So many people have helped me, whether that's family. A lot of parents serve as great mentors, but people here at the Titans that have really taken me under their wing and showed me the way to do things, which is awesome. Especially when you're right out of college and you're still learning, you need somebody to look up to and somebody to kind of give you a shortcut so you can leap over all the bad things and things you shouldn't be doing. As far as right now, like my current boss for the Titans is great. He's always been somebody that would listen to my ideas. He would tell me if the idea stunk or if it was good. So yeah, I highly recommend a mentor for everybody. It's hard because it's not something that you can just make happen. It kind of has to happen over time and organically. So really, doing informational phone calls and meeting business professionals in the sports is a great way to kind of create that mentor ship with somebody out there.
100%, 100%. I think the key to a mentorship, and you hit the nail on the head. It's not. It has to be organic. You can't force that, And I know with a few of my mentors, or all of them, to be honest, when we have a catch up call, we have to fight to say, because we're catching up, or we're just talking about our families and what we're doing this weekend, and we're like, okay, well, we want to talk a little business too. So it's building a genuine relationship. And in regards, I know it's different per each mentee, right? The relationship is different. But in your opinion and from your experience, like, what does that relationship normally look like? Is it the mentee driving the mentor? Speak to that point a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the mentee needs to be reaching out to the mentor, right? Like the mentor is busy, he's working, or he or she. And so like if you need help and you need somebody to kind of guide you, you need to be reaching out to them with questions, and you need to be respectful of their time, and you need to have a plan, and it can't be all give and take. Like you need to be giving something back. And I don't know necessarily what that is, but on your end, what you can cover are thank you notes. You can ask them about their families, kind of like what you just said. So it's interesting. Every relationship's different. You got to know the person and just kind of go from there. But if you're reading a good book, recommend it to him or her. And if you're listening to a good podcast or you've come across something that you thought was really good, email to him and say, hey, check this out. Just saw this, made me think of you. Hope you're having a great day with the Titans, that kind of thing. So it needs to be a two-way street.
100%, 100%. And I think it's important too, right? Not to go in expecting anything, right? But it'll happen organically. If you guys build that genuine relationship and then there's an opening that, your mentor thinks you're a fit for, they'll vouch for you, but you can't just come in and asking for anything. It's all about just building that relationship and paving it forward that way. So I love that point. So in regards to, you're in the fortunate position to be able to jumpstart careers and start careers in the sports space, which, I know we talked offline, but how rewarding of an experience that is for you to help grow careers. So what is it, what are some specific skills, qualities, traits that when you're hiring and interviewing, the thousands of applicants that you get, and trust me, it's thousands. What are some of those skills that you look for in a candidate?
Yeah, so we want good people. That's really hard to define, but we want good people that are going to come in here and be good teammates. They're going to be part of the team and lift each other up and all that good stuff. We can trust them. Number two, we really want, and I'm still in this from another guy out in the ticketing world. We want self-imposed excellence. And again, that's why athletes or people that are competitive, translate really well to sales. Is we want these people to demand excellence from themselves. If we ask you to do something, you're going to do that and more. Love that. And I'll take that one with me forever. Self-imposed excellence. I think that's a really good one. They need to be coachable. You got to be able to take criticisms and put those to work. So like you can't hang your head and think, oh, Joey hates me or anything like that. You just got to know that I'm trying to look out for you, and you're going to try and switch that up. But being open to new ideas and all that good stuff. And then all the other cliche terms that you guys have heard about being self-motivated and smart and a good communicator, all those apply, but really those top ones stand apart, especially self-imposed excellence and being a good person.
I love that. I took note of that one. Self-imposed, that's awesome. And I think you hit on it too. Being a self-starter, it's a little bit similar, but you can't teach that. You can't teach that inner fire to stay an hour late if a client says, I can talk at 6, but you're off at 5. It's staying that extra hour. Like, you can't teach that. That's passion. You can't teach prepping what you're going to do for the next day, the night before, so you can come in and get hit in the ground running. That's all just with your drive to be great. So I absolutely love that point. Definitely going to note that and use that one. So right now, obviously, it's a difficult time for all of us. Fortunately, you guys are back in the office and can't wait for some football to start up. Stay confident there, positive mindset. But there's a lot of career seekers out there that graduated class of 2020 or class of 2019 that are still looking to get in the industry. And then plus all of the talented individuals, it's unfortunate, but every day on LinkedIn, you see more and more people getting let go. And it's just the times that we're in right now. But where I'm going with this is there are a lot of candidates out there and a big talent pool. So what are some things that career seekers right now can be doing to help prep themselves for when the industry opens up? Because we both know it will, but when it does, there's going to be a lot of people lining up at the doors. So what are some of those things they can do now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote an article on LinkedIn last week that kind of went into this. It's something I'm very passionate about. I know the struggle to get into the sports industry, so we want to help people with that. Something that you have to be doing right now is building relationships. If there's a career field that you're interested in, you need to be reaching out to those. So let's say it's sales. You need to be reaching out to every inside sales manager in sports, asking for 15 minutes of their time, asking for a phone call, asking if they can go get coffee, which may be difficult during this time, but you need to be reaching out and building that relationship now. So when those jobs do come open, they're thinking of you as one of their better candidates. And really, you kind of mentioned it earlier, there's a lot of people applying for these jobs. There's going to be even more, this next year. So you have to figure out a way to stand out. And to do that, a really good way is to have a relationship with the person posting the job. So, and when the job's posted, it's too late to build that relationship. Like, that has to start now. So you can build it over time. And when something comes open, just reach out.
I love it. And I'm going to say it because I say it on all my podcasts, and I'm surprised we haven't got a letter from Teamwork Online yet. I love Teamwork Online as a resource, as I'm sure you do. But at the end of the day, there's thousands of applicants. I'm sure you can attest to that. And it's the ones that go above and beyond, who write you a handwritten letter, who reach out to you on LinkedIn. You got to separate yourself, and nowadays candidates just don't do that. And the ones that do are the ones that a lot of times are going to get the interview and likely get hired. So I love that point. You got to separate yourself. So last question here, and this is a fun one, but so say Joey's getting out of college, right? It could be undergrad or graduate degree, either one. So you're getting out of college. What advice would you give yourself back then? If you could tell yourself one piece of advice, what would that be?
Man, that's a tough one. And it's funny, I get asked that. I do like 3 to 5 informational phone calls with young people every week. And, they ask that one a lot. And there's so much that I would want to know. I think just like, I knew that relationships were going to be important, but I don't think I knew how important. So like, I would continue building those relationships, or maybe try and build them faster than what I have. And then on top of that, maintain those relationships, which can be difficult when your book gets bigger. It can be hard to keep up with those people and not burn bridges. So, I know I've mentioned this a lot, but there's a reason why I've mentioned a lot. Like, relationships are important. I've never one time heard anybody in the Titans ask a candidate what their GPA was in college. So, not saying school's not important. It's definitely important. It's just the relationship and your experience is so important. So I would definitely be focusing on those.
Yep. Love that. I love it. You got to focus on your grades. They're important, but at the end of the day, you have to supplement that with industry experience. It's the GPA at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But who do you know? What have you done? What experiences do you have? I absolutely love that point. So Joey, again, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I greatly appreciate it. I know it's a very, very busy time, especially just getting back in the office and getting ready to kick off a great 2020 campaign. But final thoughts, and I'll let you kind of roll with this wherever you want to go. So what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, appreciate the invite again. Glad to be here. I'm super passionate about helping people get into the sport industry just because I know the struggle. So feel free to reach out. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there. Happy to have a conversation. And then on top of that, if you're interested in inside sales, obviously the Titans have an inside sales program and we hire for it every December. So be on the lookout for that, teamworkonline.com. But more importantly, start preparing now. And you can do that by visiting teamworkonline.com. Sports Business Solutions is a good one with a lot of sales information on there as far as blogs and stuff. Brett Zalaski, a really good sales trainer, has a great website, Empowerment of a Salesperson. And then one of my favorite podcasts is Sports Sales and Coffee. Justin Phillips does a really good job with that, where he gets into specifics about what sales calls sound like and what meetings sound like. So that would be my last spiel there.
Love it. I love it. And yeah, double down on that one. Sports Sales and Coffee is a fantastic listen. So Joey, my friend, thank you so much for the time. And, I know I personally, as I'm sure you and the rest of Nashville, can't wait until September 14th to kick off in the Mile High. I know it's especially prime time. It's it's a little unfortunate. It's at 10:10 here on the East Coast, but you'll be sure that I'll be awake and watching. So can't wait. And best of luck this season.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Awesome, Joey. Let's reconnect soon and tighten up, man. Have a great day.
Tighten up. Bye.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Joey. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on, and just great insight. Great insight. I know there was probably, hopefully, everyone out there listening, their hands a little sore. Joey gave so much insight there, valuable knowledge. So my final thoughts, and I think Joey hit on it multiple times throughout the show, is you just got to become comfortable being uncomfortable. Like he said, when he had to reach out to 20 different sport industry executives, it was an uncomfortable experience. Or when when entry level reps come in and start making calls, it's going to be uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, you heard him right there say he was uncomfortable at first, but look where he got to now. So at the end of the day, just say yes to every opportunity that you can get. Have that yes mentality, especially nowadays. It's going to take you far. So great point there. Just a few last minute reminders. Mindset Mondays, 12:30 Eastern time on Mondays for Mindset Mondays with Denise. So look out for that. You won't want to miss that show. Again, virtual cup of coffee. I'm leaving time up on my schedule for those that are looking to connect and speak about whatever. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn or my email, mike@gameplanu.org. We could schedule a time there. And then last but not least, again, thank you, Joey. And, on behalf of myself, Joey, the Game Plan U family, thank you so much for watching. And we will be back next week with another episode. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.